This is a video I've been crafting in my head for a while now due to just how similar the things I'll be talking about in this video are to each other. But before I get any further, if you're enjoying what I am and will be uploading, make sure that red button says subscribed. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Today, I'll analyze just how eerily close Guilty Crown got to predicting the aftermath of COVID-19. I'm not saying that this anime predicted COVID-19, but the restrictions that crippled today's world and the one inside this anime will sound eerily similar. The very same restrictions that exacerbated the polarity between typical human nature and nature in of itself. A virus is a fickle thing, but it can really mess you up and your way of life. I'm going to cover two main specifics of the apocalypse virus in Guilty Crown and compare them to our modern day real life. What were the similarities? What were the differences? I'll try to refrain from going down too many rabbit holes because, let's face it, we get enough of that every day. Likewise, I will refrain from political opinions, but I will be showcasing the reality of said politics to show you one of my major talking points. Feel free to agree or disagree in the comments below. To those who are new to the Guilty Crown anime, or it's been a while, I'll provide a quick rundown on what the apocalypse virus was. The virus is fictional, but it serves as the primary basis of Guilty Crown's story, its plotline. The main protagonist of the story unknowingly gets caught up in a serious disaster involving his sister and the virus itself. Unbeknownst to him at the time, his sister became the catalyst for such a deadly disease. The specific origins of the virus remain unknown except for the fact that it was harbored inside of a meteorite that hit the Earth. As the virus spread uncontrollably, world governments cracked down on the movement of people to stop the spread. These restrictions included quarantine zones and the death of anyone who defied government orders. As things progressed, the story also deepened considerably, so for the sake of those who haven't seen the anime, that is all the rundown I will give you. With that out of the way, let's move into the first point: lockdowns and quarantine. When COVID-19 brought life as we knew it to a halt in the spring of 2020, nobody knew what to do. Businesses were shuttered, people were told to stay home, and a new way of life began. Good for some, detrimental for others. Global economies tanked, the talk of economic recession crept into the ears of many, and life came to a halt. Countries around the world closed their borders, restricted movement of people outside of their homes to mere minutes, and even enforced harsh punishment for those who defied the new rules. Guilty Crown eerily displayed this lockdown and restriction of people 8.5 years earlier. Infected individuals, or those presumed infected, paid the ultimate price in the early days, and even years after, during new outbreaks. Entire zones were cordoned off from the rest of the world by large barriers meant to limit movement to non-infected areas. This one being more of a stark difference. There were areas of life that did return to normal for most people. 10 years after the initial outbreak, there was a general idea on how to handle such a monster, though it wasn't perfect. Quarantine zones were the first measure used to prevent the infected from spreading the virus. But as we saw towards the latter half of the anime, these also had their flaws. Ordinary citizens trapped behind enemy lines, healthy but now at risk for a disease without a cure. People wanted nothing more than to carry on with their lives, to forget about the horrors they faced. COVID-19 caused a similar flurry. Lockdown protests alongside disdain from social media and other malfeasance. People were genuinely frightened. Another spot-on depiction Guilty Crown was able to master. Those who were infected in the anime were instilled with fear and uncertainty, knowing that every breath they took was as precious as gold. But that wasn't all. People became desperate, entire personalities changed, and distrust was seeded into the population. What was working and what wasn't? Whose side was the government really on? There came resistance and backlash, but most of all was the growing passion to free the world from the iron grasp that was a hellscape with seemingly no end in sight. That, however, brings me to my next comparison point: resistance versus the truth. It was sad how politics got in the way of simple measures such as mask wearing to help slow the spread of COVID. This began to sow large amounts of distrust in world governments, health organizations, and even other citizens. People were seen as monsters for both wearing and not wearing protective gear of any kind. Those who felt the strongest about displaying their distrust towards others became part of a resistance, a group of people who operated in the shadows. In reality, people just wanted the truth, but it fell on deaf ears, on both sides. Guilty Crown's funeral parlor operated in a similar manner. Unfortunately, those who met every word with distrust in our world did not operate with the same end goal as funeral parlor. Guilty Crown's resistance group was formed to help restore freedom to Japan after the government enacted harsh restrictions across the country. They were a small group, but that didn't mean they didn't pack a punch. All funeral parlor wanted was to bring peace back to Japan, the country of origin, and tell the truth about what the government was doing, because, as it turns out, the government of Japan was not the friend of the people as they were led to believe. This contrast between these two groups of people could not be more apparent, but the comparison herein lies with government secrets. There were many things that people weren't told about the origin of COVID-19. People were never presented with real-world findings over investigations of the virus. Politicians invested in stocks and bonds with prior knowledge of gains and losses in the markets, and bureaucratic red tape stalled the release of humanitarian aid to the people who needed it most. While there wasn't such an in-depth playbook in Guilty Crown, the comparison is with the government here as well. Research, cures, hidden agendas, they all sewed threads into the fabric of what was once society and weakened the glue that held everything together. Once again, Guilty Crown was spot on when it came to exploring themes of a global pandemic. The anime nailed the discourse that would be prevalent through most societies, the lack of faith in world governments and health organizations, and the overall levels of fear that come with the unknown. There are obvious differences between our world and the one inside of Guilty Crown. For starters, there isn't a virus, or any organism for that matter, that can cause such a breakdown of the human body as the apocalypse virus could. There was some obvious research that went into the creation of such a fictional virus, though. There's a lot of sciencey stuff and processes that probably would make no sense if I tried to explain them, but if you're curious, use this image on screen as a guide. Guilty Crown isn't all that far off from reality, though. So, as a treat, I'll make this one last comparison. Not to COVID, but to our society. Technology. This anime placed emphasis on the use of social platforms to spread information and, inevitably, rumors. In times of global disarray, it's incredibly easy to spread false panic and create a narrative that draws people in like bees to honey. Let's face it, people love chaos. Furthermore, there was a large emphasis on spacefaring technology. Satellites. These satellites are a given in today's world and are a large focal point of a lot of what we do. However, they are also extremely vulnerable. There is the potential for bad actors to use these as they see fit, and Guilty Crown was no different. While it isn't something that is real concerning at the moment, a hacked satellite that could be used as a weapon is still a possibility. It's a common disaster sci-fi trope, but with everything else Guilty Crown managed to get right about our world today, it makes you wonder, what will it predict next?